Hello, today we're going to talk about the virtual machine, which is this virtual machine hypervisor, and we're running a VM on top of a Linux Ubuntu 22.04. So the host operating system, in this case, if I clear my screen here and I say cat etc os-release or cat -n etc os release, so I can see the line numbers. In line number 3, it shows that I'm running version 22.04. In line number 1, it says the name of the operating system is Ubuntu 22.04 long-term support. This LTS stands for long-term support. In line number 4, it also says that given the code name in addition to the version name and long-term support. Jammy Jellyfish is the code name. This version of Jammy Jellyfish or Ubuntu 22.04 long-term support came out on April 21st of this year, 2022, and it is good until 2027 for 5 years. So the operating system is Ubuntu Linux, and if I just type in clear the screen and I type in uname -a, you can see that it is Linux operating system. Uname -o for the operating system version is GNU Linux. Uname -r is the revision, the kernel build, and then the details are all here. Uname -i or uname -m or p for processor. The speed of it is all x86 64-bit. I can also get that information from doing lscpu. lscpu is basically clearing this screen, lscpu, and then pipe more. You can see the architecture is x86, and it is the operation mode is both 32-bit supports and as well as 64-bit. And then this is two CPUs with 2 cores, and then the speed of it is about 3.1 gigahertz, and all that information is here. And then in addition to that one, you can also look at the proc CPU info. CPU info, and since I did a more, I can see it. The first processor is CPU 0 and the second one is CPU 1. So I can get those processor and all the speed of it. So in case if I want to see the model name, you can see that's AMD model A9-9425 Radeon R5. So you can also get the megahertz and then the speed of it here as well. And then how many processor you can do, you can say grep processor, and then there's 2 of them, 0 and 1. That reveals also on the CPU, lscpu, and then grep -i, grep -i CPU. That tells you grep is a global regular expression print statement. So when I search for the string CPU, it tells me that I have 2 CPUs here. At this time, I'm going to just clear the screen, and then this other one that are showing these colors, I can right click here and then go on the preferences and then just look at the colors. And then somewhere one of these colors are darker, like that color, and so I could just change that one to a lighter color, and then nice looking. That information is here. I just changed it. So if I want to do it a little bit different here, let's just rather than too light like that, we can just make all the for sudden that information also white, and then just select that. And I believe it was right here for that color. I'm going to just change it to white, their color, and then just leave it there. And now we just have that information similarly like looking better, even though the kind of color that is a little bit pinkish, I want to just change to that color to change to something else. So let me just go here and then make it much wider here, or I could even change it to a lighter color like yellow, and then see how that looks. And then right here, that is better. I think then just pinkish. So I'm going to just do this, and then now it's standing out for some of them. Clear screen, and then cat etc proc meminfo, and then head -5 is memory info, not etc /proc. That's good enough. That is the detail that I want. So like right here, I'm going to clear screen, do a cat proc meminfo, and then at the same time do a free dash hedge and human readable. So this is about 15 gig, and this is also 15 gig, and then about 9 gig is free, and then also and the cache is together. So about 12 gig we have it, and we can run the top command to say that okay, yeah, we here have the 15 gig total, 9 gig is free, and then about 2.5 gig is there. There's no virtual box, but there's OBS, which is Open Broadcaster software. That is this software that I'm recording. So I'm going to have that one. I'm going to minimize, close that one, and at this time I'm going to run this one to just show the VirtualBox process. So right here I'm going to close the VirtualBox, and you can see that there's no VirtualBox process yet, but there's other like GNOME shell, which is this terminal that I have, Pulse Audio, which I'm doing the recording for my audio, OBS software, which are these. But let's just click on the VirtualBox here, and then start the VirtualBox here. So the VirtualBox now comes in, and as you can see, the VirtualBox process just comes on the CPU, takes a slice of the CPU, and gets processed. But this VirtualBox that I'm having, the hypervisor software, is brought to you by Oracle website. VirtualBox was originally a company that was providing open source VirtualBox, but now Oracle owns it, because Oracle bought Sun had bought VirtualBox in the past. So here also you can visit the Oracle website, which you can just download the latest VirtualBox, because when I did it from the app repository. So that means I can get a new version of this one by just clicking here, and then upgrade it to the latest 6.1.34. If I click on this one, downloads, and you can see 6.134 is available. The version that I'm running is 6.132. So here I'm going to close this window. I don't need to run all these ones. At this time I say I like this one. I'm going to just open one more terminal here, and then on this terminal, notice this one is I have one of the terminal on this one running this command top, and on this command I just run the date. So I'm going to just increase that one by Ctrl+Shift+, so it is readable to you. And then now I'm on the top here, you can see it, or I'm on this window. I'm going to run the date command that I say before I start the VirtualBox. Let me just click on the VirtualBox, say started, and then at the same time I'm going to type in clear. So here I start the date. I just say okay, now I started 11:26, and then approximately, and the seconds are not important that much, because I'm going to change the resources, and eventually the more resources you give it, the faster it runs. So I let it run. I'm not going to click anywhere that a 2 second or 4 second that is waiting for me to pick up the boot menu. I'll leave it as it is, as if I'm not in front of the computer. I let it boot. So at 11:26 we started, and these windows I'm going to close, and I'll leave this window a little bit, size it, and then put it right here. Let me just a little bit make it a little bit look better, because okay, so now it says that the Rocky version of Linux is booting, and you can see that the time that it takes for it to boot, and we just give it time to see how much it is going to happen. On this other screen, if I run the top, you can see the VirtualBox that it starts here. The VirtualBox in terms of the virtual memory, which is the heap, and then the resident portion of the process, and the shared. The shared is the .so file, similar to Linux, Windows dynamic link libraries. The shared object files are basically libraries that are getting loaded from the VirtualBox itself. And how do I know that one? I could do LDD on the VirtualBox binary, and then you see all the shared objects that are there associated with that process. Right now it is still booting, and then let's look at this window. We leave it because the size of the VirtualBox is going to just take some of it, and already it shows 8.4 gig is free. So the 2 gig is just a little bit used because of that process, and the virtual machine is in the process of booting, so I'm going to leave it on this side so we can see, even though we are clicking on it, we could see the window. At this time I'm not going to worry about the recording software, so I'm going to resize this one to the right, and then I could see everything. And then the virtual machine, I could also move it to fit right here. And let's see what's on the back here. On the back, I believe it is the virtual machine. Yeah, this one is the virtual machine. So on this one I'm going to minimize it, since we know that this is okay. And let's CD software. So at this time on the right side you can see the virtual machine process is coming, and then so far the time that we started off, we started at 11:26, and we will time it when it is actually up and running. See how long it takes, maybe a couple of minutes, maybe more, and because we have only one processor and 2 gig of space for the Rocky Linux. It's almost there. So it come out with the boot. Now I'm just going to click here and type in my password, and this is basically almost ready to install. Let's see if the password, I have to type in the password correct, so that part a few seconds is delayed because the first time I typed it wrong. Let's see if the second time I type it correctly. Let me just clean it up here. Now I typed the password correctly, and let's see if it comes out fast enough to respond. And then you can see the VirtualBox about 3 gig almost, or 2 gig, but notice that here 15 gig and 7.5 is free. The rest of them 4 gig is used already, and then the buffer cache is another 3 gig is available, so almost we have 10 gig before to allocate it for other resources. So this is still not up yet completely, because it has to give us the menu and the terminals and be able to type in. Once we type in, then we know that, yeah, this is how long it took. And then right here, it is that time. I could still do a date here, and then so far we have spent about 5 minutes already. And then now it is coming up here. Let's just click on the activity, see if we get a terminal setting here, and then here we are going to open a terminal and run another date here to see how fast it's coming. Here on this time I'm going to just say run the top command here, since we have the top command is showing up. So the date now I was able to run a command, it's already 11:32, about 6 minutes. 6 minutes this machine is already available for us to type in commands with 2 GB of memory. So now I have recorded this one for the 6 minute. I'm just going to show you the memory. It's about 1.8 gig or 2 gig that we allocated. This memory, we're going to change it. But again here, if I do a list CPU, this command also shows me how many CPUs I have. And since I have allocated one CPU for it, you can see that information. Also cat slash proc slash CPU info. You could get that information from here also. That's only one CPU processor, and that's all we have. The other ones are not allocated yet. So then if I run the free command, you can see that free-h 1.8 gigabyte altogether and how much is used. And the operating system, if I look at it, it is a Rocky 8.5 release, as you can see that information. So I'm going to shut down this one, and I was assuming that it's about 6 minutes. So I'm going to do a sync, semicolon, sync, semicolon, sync, and then 3 times. So now I know that there's no open file system or anything. I'm going to do shutdown -h now. And so this will halt it for the first time. -h means halt, and now is immediately, so it doesn't wait for anybody else because I'm the only user on it, and I know that nothing else is running like a database or something that I could cause corruption. So therefore I'm okay to shut it down with shutdown-h now. But normally if you know that there's other users, you send notification to the user, let them know that tomorrow at a certain time it will be shut down. Please make sure they log off of the system before you power it off for any maintenance window. But this time it's just a single user and a VM that I'm just not going to run. At this time I shut it down. So the first time we assume it was only this one is powered off. It took only about 6 minutes. Now this time I'm going to change the processor on this one. For the processor on the system, I'm going to change the memory to 4 gig. So let's just move it to 4 gig, and then about 4096 is 4 gig. So I'm going to not change any other variables. Usually when you do benchmark, you want to look at one variable at a time. You don't change the CPU and memory and processor and everything, and then you say now I don't know which one affected it. By changing one variable at a time and then you reboot it, then it's going to make sense. So now the processor is still one processor, as you can see here, one processor, but the memory we change it to from 2 gig to double it to 4 gig. I'm going to just start it, and then before I started the other one, we already know this that time. So 11:35, I'm gonna say start, and let's see this one how long it takes for that process. I'm going to switch. Obviously, the 6 minute there was about 10 seconds for the password that I typed inaccurate. So that this time, if it is less than 5 minutes, then it is better because of those 2 gig additional getting loaded all these files faster. But for some reason, if it is slow, you have to just figure out that maybe the optimal way to run it is with the default setting that Rocky suggests you to have about 2 gig for this one. Usually the more CPU, the more memory, it is the case, because they are multi-threaded, multi-processing. When you type in here uname and dash V for version, you can see a symmetric multi-processing version that is there. Uname and dash help also give you the details of all those commands that we checked it. If you want to know the kernel name, you can say uname dash S, or you can just say uname dash dash kernel name. So those dash dash is equivalent to dash S, for example, if you're doing that kernel dash name, or dash node name, dash dash node name versus dash N. Uname dash N is the short form to give you the node name, which is your host name also. and uname -a for all, it will tell you that one. So a lot of these details right now, we're still running this talk. The VirtualBox comes in, and notice that so far the date that I typed in was 11:35 here. So I'm going to just type in 11:35 and then not clear my screen on this one, let it run, because I'm not getting any additional software. The OBS is still running, VirtualBox only one instance, the terminals 2 instance, and all that things is the same. So I'm not introducing anything extra. This 2.6 is just VirtualBox itself. So which is on the background here. If I want to click on this one, it comes in the front, and it's right here on the back somewhere, or on the back of this. Yeah, it's the back of this. So I minimize that one and then leave this window here. Whenever you want to open it, you click on it. Let's see, this time is 11:35:52. That's almost 11:36. So I'm going to just type in here date again. I could also do a while through, and then date, and then sleep 1 second, and done. Sorry, clear screen. Say while through, and do date, and then sleep 1 second, and then run another date, and then just say done. So this is going to give me the date every 1 second, but notice that already came out with a login, and then I'm just going to accept the login and click on the password, and then let's see if I just type in the password correctly the first time. So 11:36 was there, so for about 3 minutes that is passed, and then it didn't take the password. I'm going to try the password again. This while through is just not taking too long of a process. If you look at this top here, I Control-C out of it. It is VirtualBox that is taking the highest, and then OBS the next one, Xorg and other things. So I'm gonna clear the screen and run date command. We started about 11:36, so let's see, so far it's 4 minutes before, and this one comes in. The other one, it took about close to 6 minutes, and this one is so far 4 minutes and 24 seconds. Or longer, actually, 45 seconds. 4 minutes and 45 seconds. And then we will look into that one to see how much. So right here you can see again the VirtualBox is taking that CPU, and then the free memory right now is 7.1 gig here, and then the buffer cache. So now the activity is showing here. I can just click on the terminal and start typing the command top and other ones. Just again, I don't have to check on the OS version, because earlier we checked on the OS version. It is Rocky, the same version, the same VM. When you start a GAS operating system, you don't have to check the same command again and again. We already know that it is there. So now the command here, by typing date, it's almost about 5 minutes and 41 seconds. So that is good. It is a little bit faster than before, and now I'm going to do another sync, semicolon, sync, semicolon, sync 3 times. So I could say nothing is running, shut down -H. Let's say shut down -H now, and then this will bring it down. So this time was at least 20 or 30 seconds faster. So that is with 8 gig, 4 gig. Now we're going to increase the VirtualBox to 8 gig, and then this is shutting down right now. While that one is shutting down, we can just click on the VirtualBox. VirtualBox comes in. We had a 4 gig, so the 4 gig was about 30 seconds faster. Now we're going to change the setting to give it 8 gig with one processor, and then start it again. Once this one is done, now it's powered off, I could change the setting here and then click on setting. Again, one parameter at a time. So only parameter I'm changing is the memory from 4 gig. I'm going to give it to 8 gig. 8192, that's about 8 gig, because when you do that, 8192 is basic calculator. 1024 times 8 is going to be 8192, and I quit out of that one. Then I just run the date command here, and then before I just acknowledge this one, before I say start, I'm going to run the date here. On this one, I'm going to run the date, and then it tells me that I started at 11:43. And then minimize this window. I don't need to see that window. And then the terminal that is here, so that one is a little bit faster now with 8 gig. You could see that it is already coming out a little bit in faster response. But this terminal that I have here, the VirtualBox, is already improved with speed, with 8 gig. It is much faster. You can see that improvement. Even with our eyes, we can tell the difference. Here, the time that I started is 11:43:38, almost 44, 22 second less. So date, and so it is 11:44:34. 1 minute passed so far. We're not reaching to 5 minutes 40, the other one, but it's almost getting to bring it up. Let's do another date here. So far 43, 49. So far is about 1 minute and some seconds passed. That is still way good. Let's see if it is finished less than 5 minutes. The other one took about 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and with the 4 gig. And we will check on this one. Okay, getting almost close to 2 minutes here now. 43 through 45, but it's 38 verse 39, 19. Now it's 29. Still we're not 2 minutes yet. Now it's about 2 minutes 37 versus 38. So I'm looking at the first line here, and then the last date that I just ran. So for 2 minutes. Let's see if it is going to come, or it is just still sitting on this window. And then we here look at the performance. About 7 gig is still, or 8 gig is free, and then use this 3.6. Almost 4 gig when we used that, the system was already up and running. So let's see, and now we have allocated 8 gig, and we didn't run the top with the second one, because we knew that okay, it is actually much faster, 30 seconds faster, because of the 2 gig to 4 gig. But when we run the top, it just says that it's close to 4 gig at that time, and now it's about 8 gig allocated on the Rocky Linux 8.5, and we will see that. So 43 now is 46, almost 44, 47, 47 to 43. So far it's close to 4 minutes, and it prompted me for the login. So I'm going to type in the password. I did the same typos on every one of them, so I make sure that it understand the time. I do not compare one of them make a typo, the other one. It wouldn't be a fair kind of judgment. It would be biased on that part, that you make a mistake by accident and then you don't make the same mistake on the second one or third one. So let's just run the date command. It's almost there. So we started at 11:43:38. Now it's 11:47, almost 48 already. 11:48:07. So between 43 to 48. If it comes out to the 38, then it's 5 minutes exactly. So let's see, 48:16. It's not up yet. 29. And right now it's about 5 minutes exactly from the time, 5 minutes and a couple of seconds. And then I'm just able to click on the terminal, and then when the terminal comes in, I run this date command here. About 5 minutes and 20 seconds or less. So now I can run top, and then that means the system is available. And it was about 5 minutes and 20 seconds versus the other one that was 5 minutes and 40 seconds, and the first one was 6 minutes. So now this one improved, and you can see that the memory is about 7.7 gig free total, and then 6 gig is free on this one. You can also do that one from free-h. You will see that the size is there. Or say cat proc mem info, and then grep minus I mean head minus 5, or just look at the last top one. So again, sync a few times, sync, and then sync, and then I'm going to just say shut down minus H now. So this system will be down, but I'm going to one more time start this time I'm going to double the processor, because on this one we know we have 2 processors. So I already say ls CPU, and then grep minus I CPU, and then you can see ls CPU is the command, and then I'm going to see the number of processor, which is core and per socket, or and the CPU family and all that details and there. So ls CPU, and then grep minus I. Core would show 2 of them, and the grep I have to type in the P. For some reason I missed that P. So grep stands for global regular expression print. And then now the system is down, and that improved, but because we have 2 processor, and then processor, so or CPU, if I just say CPU, then you can see that there's 2 CPUs here, 2 CPUs, and then the names are CPU 0 and 1. So, and then the speed is about 3.1 gigahertz, or 3.1 gigahertz, because 3100 megahertz times 1024, that would be in gigahertz, 3.1. So I'm going to clear this screen. I run this date command. I haven't started it, but before I run the date command, I'm going to change this time the 2 processor rather than 1. The memory is going to be the same on the 8 gig. So I'm going to click on the processor, and I'm going to give it 2 processor here. And now given 2 processor, I can reveal that information here as well. You can see 8 gig and then about 2 processors here. So that is good. And then I'm going to run the date command here. And before I run the date command, you can see the VirtualBox is not running. And then on the top, and then I run press a date command here, and then click on the start button here. So that has started a few seconds after I click it. 11:52 and we will see with the 2 processor if it improves or not. That 4 second, 2 second, that one we have to give it exactly for each other ones that we give. So the benchmarking that we are doing is a little bit more tied to comparing apple with apple. We're not going to say this apple is green, the other apple is red, or this apple is bigger, the other apple is small. Yes, in terms of resources, memory, and CPU, now we're changing it, but in terms of comparing that resources, and then we will know, yeah, it is all against Rocky 8.5 VM on a Ubuntu host operating system, version 22.004 long-term support. And this is a good test actually if you are just doing it for Red Hat, for Rocky, for Ubuntu, on virtual machines, on VMs. These are the type of tests that the vendors should do in order to let the consumers know that, well, these are if you have this hardware with these AMD processors and this much resources, what is the optimal way to run, for example, a VM running Rocky 8.5. So the person that is trying to install a Rocky 8.5, they can just always know the confidence that they have optimized way of running the fastest performance that they can get on their hardware, unless they want to just upgrade it to a newer hardware, which is very costly to most people. So the date we run here is 11:52:19. I'm going to run another date command to just see how long so far. We have been 11:54, so about past 2 minutes already, and we are not yet there. The shortest was the 4 gig memory with one processor, which was about 5 minutes and 20 seconds. So as long as we beat that one, it's still good for this hardware that we have. And obviously when you start it, you don't have to sit down in front of it idle. This time, because we're doing benchmarking against that, we want to just do this kind of scenario, and we can still look at the top, but we can run other commands and open up application, browse on the internet, read other things when we start VM. We don't have to just wait 3 minutes or 4 minutes for it. We can do other tasks, and by the time we're done with other tasks, because it's a multi-threading operating system or multitasking operating system, you can run as many other tasks at the same time, and then when the VM is ready, it is going to be available for you to run the command. So about 55, 51. So now it's prompting me for the user. This time I'm not gonna type in the password incorrect. Let's see if it is going to allow me to type in the first time and go there, because at this time I honestly don't judge it based on the 2 seconds that is there. So it was 52 or something that I just started, and I think this one is 54. I just changed it command here and the timing and everything, so I didn't capture that one, but we can tell from the video that I recorded, and so the timing is already there. And when it is coming, I just run another command, and then we know that okay, it took less than 5.20 minutes, so this is still fast. And then if you want to just not clear your screen, you could always send the output of your command to like a date command, and then D. Now the next time you just clear a screen, you can still say cat D, and so you could save it. Now I'm going to just click on the activity. While I was talking about a few seconds, I did not click on the activity, but it's not ready yet. It is now ready. And then so at this time, like 11:57:18, it is just available for me to type in the command, and then the command I type in is there with the same kind of resources. And at this time I'm going to do more proc CPU info. And then when you do the CPU info, you can see CPU 0, but then there's also CPU 1 processor. So there's two CPU, we know that it is there. And you can also do ls CPU and then pipe more, and then you can see that there's two CPUs here this time. So our system recognizes it, and we look at the processor speed, and everything is there, the 3.9 megahertz speed. So everything looks good, and we improved it. I believe 11:57, I believe it was 11:52 something when we started, so it's only less than 5 minutes maybe. But we will just look at the time and then make that judgment. Doesn't matter, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and the system is up and running, and then we will do more further configuration. At this time, I want to thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. My YouTube channel is called MyWebUniversity Free Education Videos. I bring to you all kind of free education videos, whether it's Unix, Linux, Mac, Windows, PowerShell, shell programming, C++ programming, Python programming, all kind of Apache web servers, file system, and so on. Everything is available, and I will just do more. Please try to understand it and help yourself. And then if you have any question, make comments so I can improve it, and then you will enjoy it more. YouTube is really good for learning. There's a lot of documentation on mywebuniversity.com/man_pages. So if you go to my Unix man pages, there's about 60,000 technical documentation for all these commands that you're sitting in front of, like let's say on the man ls CPU. This command, you could say show me the list the CPU command. Man ls CPU is there, but at the same time you can get like, for example, let me just go to MyWebUniversity, mywebuniversity.com. The mywebuniversity.com is my main page, and that it actually lists all the videos that I have. Not all of them, but some of them I have posted it. Some of them you still have to be subscribed on the YouTube channel to watch them, because I don't update this page regularly. But if I just go to man_pages for the documentation, you will see that the actual mywebuniversity.com is this page that has all these videos. At the same time, if you go to /man_pages, you will see all the documentation that I have posted for you. Like for OpenSolaris, there's about 60,000 documentation, so you could get all these Linux man pages, as well as Solaris, as well as Mac, as well as Windows help, and as well as PowerShell commands. So just for the Solaris, about 13,000 here altogether. So if I just move slowly, you can see this page is still getting updated here. You see like 13,000 pages. So if you're looking for something like Control F to search it, and here you type in on the browser, say show me, for example, a printf statement. If there's a printf statement or scanf statement that is there, that's a command for all these include header files. So if you're looking for something like ZFS for zettabyte file system. You can just click on this one and it gives you the details on the help here, and you can read it. And the actual PDF files is also on the Oracle Sun website as well. But similarly for Ubuntu, there's PDF files, but these are good because all you need is a browser. So you can just go on the internet and get as many help and examples for each one of those commands, and then you don't have to be logged on to a Unix machine or Linux machine or a Mac or a Windows PowerShell command to just get it. So any of these commands, like clear disk for example, you click on it, you just get the output here for the man pages or documentation, and you read it, and there's commands to show as examples. All the details are there. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe and watch all these videos and learn from it, benefit it from your work, for your school, anything that benefits you. And let me know if you have any question by just writing some comments. Thank you. Have a nice one. Love and peace for all. Take care.